Breaking today, consumer confidence is at its lowest point in 4 years, according to a survey that dates back to 1967. Expectations for the future are at their lowest point since the end of the Great Recession.
President Trump's economic policy has been a dramatic change from the Biden administration. Inflation has remained high, and the Federal Reserve has not lowered interest rates since December. They've remained relatively high over the last 2.5 years.
And with all that in mind, we welcome financial guru Eric Crom from Clear Creek Advisors. Thank you so much for being here. So let's start with the word that everyone's fearing right now, recession. Why do you think that there's so much fear surrounding it?
Yeah, you know, some of it's legitimate, right? We've seen slowdown in the labor market. We've obviously know that there's going to be cuts in government jobs. We have fears about tariffs, so I think a lot of that is normal behavior. At the same time, you know, some of it is just speculation. Back in 2022, just about every economist thought that we were guaranteed to go into a recession, and we didn't end up going into a recession. So I think the fears are definitely warranted, but we got to remember that nobody really knows.
And to your point, I mean, it's been thrown around for, 3+ years now. I have to ask you, I know you say no one knows, but what do you think?
I wish I knew. That's a $64,000 question. I probably wouldn't be sitting here if I did.
Hey.
Fair enough.
But, I think there's definitely reasons for concern, right? But I think the big thing is they're going to come, right? It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And so we talk to our clients about, look, it's okay to be disappointed if a recession comes, but it's not necessarily logical or rational to be surprised. I think it's also important to remember that the market and the economy are two different things. So if we do see a recession, certainly for those people who are self-employed and for, your jobs and your income, that's a whole different story. But from our perspective as an investor, it doesn't necessarily mean the market is going to be negative. I just happen to know, but 5 out of the last recessions that we've had, the market has been positive. So I think, one, it's important to remember we don't know if we're going to have one in the first place, but two, even if we do, it isn't necessarily a guarantee that the market is going to be negative.
Interesting. So why is the Federal Reserve hesitant to cut rates?
I think it's because on the opposite side of recession is inflation. And although they've done really what seems to be a good job of getting inflation under control over the past couple of years, inflation is still stubborn to some degree. We're not at our target yet. And then also there's so many concerns about what the new policy is going to do, right? What are tariffs going to do to inflation? And so I think right now it's a bit of a wait and see. It seems like they're still, holding that there'll be a couple rate cuts this year. But I do think that they're hedging a little bit just to try to make sure that they don't, tip their hat too much too early.
So, what should we be doing to prepare our finances? Recession, it could be coming, a matter of if, when, all these things. Yeah. But when you get down to like brass tacks, what are we supposed to be doing?
Yeah, when we have that conversation, we separate it into two things. One, what do you need to be doing daily, right? And to me, that's contingency planning. It's making sure you have reserves. It's making sure that you pay down debt and put yourself in a better position if we have it. From an investment perspective, it gets back to what I said previously is, you can't be surprised that it's here. So it may be late a little bit if you're thinking about it. It's not too late, but really you should have things in place in advance and have investments that are going to chase different benefits, right? So the kind of, cliche of diversification, it's not just for diversification's sake, right? It's be strategic about, are there things that are good to have your money in if inflation is worse? Are there things that protect you from an inflationary period or a recession? Are there things that provide opportunity that you should be taking advantage of? So it's definitely not too late to start getting ready for it, but ideally you've kind of had this idea that at some point it's coming and you got yourself ready to go when it does.
What about for a family that, a lot of families are living paycheck to paycheck and they can barely get by. Is there something they can do, like even if it's just $10 a paycheck to put away in a reserve? What would you recommend to them?
Yeah, to me, I think the easiest way, budgeting is such a negative word. I think it's loud budgeting. I talked a little bit about is the concept of kind of making sure everybody else around you knows that you have a budget so you don't get unnecessary pressures. But when it really boils down, I think pay yourself first, right? Just take some money before you do anything else, set it aside for yourself. That prevents you from having to kind of get too lost in all the details, because at the end of the day, if you've done that, then you should be okay.
Okay.
I like it.
Makes sense. Eric Crom, thank you so much.